Hello everyone, this is the BSE-Sofia Earnings call for the first quarter of 2018. My name is Ivo Stankov and I shall if possible. If not, we'll obtain the necessary information and try to answer each question by email. You may ask questions through the chat forum. When you press the three-dot button, there's a second option to send a question. Moving on to the presentation. The first quarter of 2018 was not very active. The market lost momentum and did not perform as well as it did in Q3 and Q4 of 2017. Market capitalization increased by 1.6%, while the values of all indices of BSE-Sofia decreased. 8 new European index-based ETFs were listed on the main BSE market, but at the same time, more equity issues of insolvent companies and such in a liquidation procedure were delisted. Therefore, the slight decrease in the number of listed instruments. As usually, the equity trade formed the largest share of turnover in the first quarter. The turnover on the regulated market of financial instruments in the first quarter reached 111 million less, while in the fourth quarter it amounted to 210 million BGN, which marks a decrease of 47%. The equity turnover and the turnover in bonds decreased most, shaping total change. Now, before we move to the financial standing of BSE-Sofia, I'd like to make a note for those of you who do not follow the activities of the exchange. In the middle of 2017, BSE-Sofia started negotiations with the Bulgarian energy holding for the acquisition of 100% of the capital of the independent Bulgarian energy exchange. A price was negotiated between the two parties. It was set to 5.2 million BGN and it was divided in 4 installments. The first 4 million BGN was to be paid at the acquisition, and the remaining 3 installments on the purchase, each to the amount of 400,000 less, were deferred for February, for August, and 2019. Now, in the beginning of February 2018, the last step was fulfilled. We received a note by the European Commission that the BSE-Sofia has been approved as a party to purchase the capital of the IBEX. And on the 7th of February, the deal was closed. This affects the revenue, the assets and liabilities of the stock exchange, so please keep that in mind. So, with regard to the revenue of the exchange, there was an increase of 121% where compared to the first quarter of 2017. Trading fees grew by 5%, information services fees increased by 8%. It is notable that finance income increased 12-fold, from 46 to 107,000 level, due to the one-off positive effect of a sale of government bonds held to maturity, carried out in the beginning of 2018. The sale was related to the IBEX acquisition by BSE-Sofia, and this led to the overall revenue growth. The comparison between the structure of revenue in Q1 2017 and Q1 2018 shows the share of each revenue item. Although at first things seem quite different, we have prepared another chart without the finance revenue to illustrate the fact that the share of each item remains relatively stable over time. Here is the second chart. Moving on to cost, the total cost of the exchange grew by 6.84% when compared to the same period of 2017. Hired services expenses increased by 10% due to GDPR-related consulting fees incurred, while personnel cost increased by 8%. Now, the comparison between the structure of cost in the first quarter of 2017 and 2018 shows a stable structure of cost. At the end of 2017, the net financial result achieved by BSE-Sofia was positive to the amount of 518,000 BGN, which was mainly due to increased finance revenue, influenced strongly by the sale of government bonds held to maturity related to the IBEX acquisition in Q1. The operating loss of BSE-Sofia was 68,000 leva in Q1 2017, and in the current period, the loss amounted to 89,000 leva. The net result of BSE-Sofia is a profit of 0.08 BGN per share. The total assets of BSE-Sofia at the end of the first quarter of 2018 were 19% higher than the value at the end of 2017. The major change in the company's asset was due to the acquisition of IBEX, which became a wholly owned subsidiary of BSE. The purchase is reflected in the investment in subsidiaries item, which grew by 5.18 million BGN. The total acquisition price of 5.2 million levs was divided in 4 installments, as I previously explained. So the first installment of 4 million BGN was financed by selling government securities held by the exchange. There was a decision of the extraordinary general meeting of shareholders of BSE-Sofia held in September 2017. The financial assets held to maturity decreased accordingly by 4 million BGN, reflecting this sale. The remaining 3 installments on the purchase, each to the amount of 400,000 less, are deferred and are reflected in the current and non-current liabilities items in the liabilities. Current assets increased significantly by 30%, or 890,000 BGN, due to the growth in cash and cash equivalents by 105,000 BGN, reflecting the positive effect of the sale of government securities. Regarding liabilities, the value of retained profit at the end of 2017 was 46,000 BGN, while its value at the end of the current quarter amounted to 607,000 BGN. The profit accumulated at the end of the first quarter is due to growing revenue from the current period, as explained before. Current liabilities increased by 285%, while the non-current grew by 406%. The increase in both cases was due to the remaining deferred payments on the IBEX acquisition. 2 installments due at the end of August 2018 and February 2019 are accounted for as current liabilities, while the last payment due at the end of August 2019 is accounted as a non-current liability. There are no major changes to the shareholder structure of BSE-Sofia. It remains stable over time, as you can see. We shall now see an overview of the trading in BSE-Sofia's own shares. The average price in the first quarter was 5.771 BGM per share. The price at the end of the quarter increased by 0.739 BGM per share, or 15%, and closed at 580 on the 31st of March. The minimum price per share was 5.45 BGM per share, and the maximum 6.15 BGM per share. A total of 102,954 shares were transferred in 181 trades. The total turnover was 594,148 less, which in comparison to the numbers of the previous quarter, which were 105,973 shares transferred, 327 trades, and total turnover of 513,868 less during the previous quarter, marked an increase in the turnover by 16%, volume decreased by 3%, and the drop in the number of trades by 45%. Shares were traded in 45 out of 61 sessions during the reported period. And here is a quick summary of the data I just quoted. I shall now let Ivan Takev, CEO of the exchange, present to you the progress of our ongoing projects and our plans for the future. Ivan?
Thank you, Ivo. Over the course of the next few minutes, I'll provide you with an update of our projects and how we plan to proceed with each one of them. Starting with the BSE International market, some background information. As previously announced at our quarterly earnings calls, for that market, we needed and we successfully acquired approvals from the regulator of our regulated market rulebook, and we were also successfully licensed as a multilateral trading facility on January 29th, 2018. The project was suspended for 2 consecutive quarters upon a request by the market maker. The market maker stated that they needed some time in order to successfully implement MiFID II, and after that, they said that they would focus on BSE International market. The project is now resumed. We received a notification from the market maker a week ago. Currently, we face just one serious issue, and it's the actions of the settlement agent of the market maker with Clearstream Luxembourg, and the necessary information that must be provided for settlement purposes. But this will be discussed with the market maker and the settlement agent in the next days. The good news is that in the meantime, we successfully delisted some of the illiquid instruments that took some of our existing capacity, and as a result of that, we would be able to offer trading in 150 instruments, even some more, instead of 75 as previously announced when we started the project. As we are in a very early stage after we received the notification from the market maker, our steps will be discussed at the conference call in the next days. We also made some progress on the SME market. The rulebook is now completed, and we will file our application with the Financial Supervision Commission on May the 2nd, that's today. We plan to organize 2 markets. The first is the private market for offering below thresholds that are stated in the local regulations. They allow funding to be raised without any prospectus for if the total consideration is less than 1 million euro. But we also implemented the MiFID II SME growth markets in our rules, so we will file for a second approval as an SME growth market simultaneously. We expect approval of our rulebook around July 2018. If something extraordinary, if something extraordinary happens, of course there will be some delay, but it will be announced at our next earnings calls. We also expect the SME supporting voucher program run by the Bulgarian SME Promotion Authority to go live in 2018. So it will be quite a nice addition to the launch of our SME growth market. That program will cover listing costs upon a successful IPO up to the amount of 50,000 Bulgarian leva if the total capital raised is above 500,000 leva, which is quite doable. So we expect a number of listings to both new markets with their issuers reimbursed for their listing costs. A few words about C-Link. Not much happening here apart from a new project that the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development is ready to launch. Actually, it will be an addition to the C-Link project and will provide sponsorship for research on select listed companies from the region. Most likely, this will be companies that are now included in the C-Link index family. These are currently 16, but upon the inclusion of Montenegro Stock Exchange, we expect that number to rise. The project will provide funding for one or two nominated brokerage houses mostly, or any other company that provides sell-side research of listed companies, and will run for at least 2 years. Those brokerage companies or researchers will be compensated for their costs, and ultimately the project aims at promoting the investor awareness in each of our countries. The terms of reference of that project are already completed by CE-Link Skopje. That's the company that runs CE-Link as a platform, and they expect approval from the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. A few other words about our supplementary project. Ivo already mentioned the IBEX acquisition, so I'm going to say just a few words about that in addition to what he already shared. The first thing is that IBEX will be consolidated in our account starting from February 2018. January this year will be left outside any consolidation because we were not owners at that time. And the second is that we, in order to cover our future liabilities for the remaining 1.2 million that we have to pay to the Bulgarian Energy Holding in 3 installments, we provided an irrevocable bank guarantee to the seller. In order to do that, we also pledged part of our government securities portfolio with a bank, and the bank issued the bank guarantee, but it will be reduced. The amount of collateral will be gradually reduced as we make each one of the next 3 payments. The second thing is the approved publication arrangement that we've been working on for the past few months. The law that implemented MiFID II in Bulgaria was adopted by the parliament in early 2018, which allowed us to file our application with the securities regulator in March. They requested some additional documents in late April 2018, and we have 1 month to provide those documents, which means that we must respond no later than May 25th, 2018. If the complete set of documents is presented with the securities regulator, and then they acknowledge that fact, they have to either issue or revoke or reject our application within 6 months. So in other words, we expect authorization by the end of 2018. And the last thing that I wanted to share with you is the fact that we will start preparations for migration towards a new trading platform. The existing trading platform of the Bulgarian Stock Exchange, Citra, will be discontinued by the platform provider in 2019, which means that we will have to find a new one. We are considering among a few options, one of them actually being the next generation trading platform of our existing platform provider, that's Deutsche Börse. So in the next weeks, we will decide how to progress with this quite an important issue, but we will of course disclose that information as inside information once we are decided, and we will provide you with even more facts at the next earnings call. So please stay tuned. There are a lot of other projects that are underway, and we'll of course announce them accordingly. This is actually the last update that I wanted to share. If you have any questions, we will stay for a couple of minutes online. Please send them over.
Thank you, Ivan. Let's look at the questions, if there are any. There are still no questions, but you can always ask us by email or by phone if you have any questions, if you require any information. So we will look it up for you and we will answer as soon as possible.
And as usual, this video, the recording of this earnings call, will be uploaded in our YouTube channel, as well as it is also available on our LinkedIn page. So thank you everyone for being with us. Please stay tuned for our next earnings call.